Moving swiftly on to session 3, we have Richard Squire, who again is the head of International Container Department at ADL Group. And he was the former deputy head of Purchase and Supply Chain Department in 2A. Welcome, Richard.
Hello, everyone. Do you hear me?
Richard will now speak about the rail freight situation in Russia. And Richard, please let me know when.
I first wanted to start with the words of gratitude to Exchange for organizing such a good event, because doing logistics is very hard, and all information and knowledge are really precious. So that is a very good place to be here and share the knowledges with other participants of the market. Thank you.
Thank you for being here.
I wanted to separate my speech to 2 different parts. In the first, I would like to talk more about the state of the Russian market nowadays. What do we see today? What's expected, and what was a really big surprise for us this year. And in the second part of my speech, I would like to group are doing to try to use these opportunities and to avoid these threats. Okay, can you please go to the next page?
Yes.
First of all, we see the increasing demand for SOC and COC containers in Russia right now. April and May is traditionally the period of time of increasing demand for containers. And we already see the shift on the market when the users, they're ready to pay for the bigger fees for containers, which is a very good thing for container owners, for container leasing companies, of course. Secondly, a very important factor which could play the major role in the price changes in the Russia is that in February and March, 3 key players of the Russian market have left their presence in Russia. I'm talking about CMA-CGM, Myers, and MSC. Because of the sanctions, they stopped their presence in Russia, which is a very big thing. This decision from these companies was very unexpected because of the level of integration of these companies to the Russian economics. Okay, great. So I was talking about the state of the Russian market today. And the very big thing for the Russian container market is that in February and March, the 3 key players on the market have stopped since here. I'm talking about CMA-CGM, Maersk, and MSC. Because of the sanctions, they stopped their business here, which is a very big thing for all Russian players. Also, I would like to mention that these leaving of companies was pretty much unexpected because of the level of integration of this company into Russian economics. To support my words with a fact, for example, the Maersk have a 31% share owning the global ports, which is the biggest port operator in Russia, handling 1.6 million TEU per year. About exactly this means for the Russian market, I'll talk in the second part of my speech. Thirdly, what we see right now on the Russian market is the feeling of uncertainty for Russian shippers. At the end of the day, the shippers, they decide to move the cargo from point A to point B to purchase the cargo, and it's important to take into the consideration their perspective and their point of view. How do they feel? Are they willing to purchase, to move goods? And now we can see the good flows. So there is a big time lag between the decision of the shippers on the market and when the cargo is actually arrived to the country. Just for an example, if you buy your products in Shanghai and you want to move it to the Moscow, it will take about 2 months to deliver the cargo from Shanghai to Moscow. And what it, the currency, for example, exchange rate from USD to ruble in February and March was very volatile, was unpredictable, which has highly affected the decision making of the shippers. However, right now we see that it is quite stabilized. Second is the sanctions. There was unprecedented pressure from the European governments and the USA in terms of sanctions in the last few months. However, the escalation doesn't seem really possible in the nearest future. So the shippers, they have some time to make the preparation and to consider their next plans. And the thirdly, I believe most important one is the increasing pressure for existing rail infrastructure. The rail infrastructure in Russia is already suffering from being overloaded. However, the drastic changes on the market could make things even worse. For example, if you want to export the goods from Russia to China, mainly you have two channels how you can do it. The first is to move containers by sea from Vladivostok, and the second is you can go by direct rail connection. And because, as I mentioned before, these big shipping lines like Maersk, they have left the Russian market. More and more shippers will choose direct rail connection, which is already overused and overloaded, which of course will mean the extension of transit period of moving the cargo. Okay, can we move to the next slide, please?
Yep.
This is all the containers in big Russian cities in perspective of 2 months. The prevailing part of all transportations in the Russian market is using COC containers, the containers of the shipping lines. However, since many of the shipping lines have left the market, there is no ready solution for that problem. Of course, in this scenario, there's opens a tremendous opportunities for container leasing companies who will have their containers in Russia in the nearest 2 months. And we also see that many of our partners who do container leasing business and many other container owners already try to reorientate their container fleet and move the containers to Russia. Second, I think is very positive thing is increasing awareness about SOC containers among the shippers. Since we expect the drastic deficit of the supply of COC.
Richard, I'm going to take this opportunity while I think there's a bit of a lag to just inform you that we have about 2 more minutes left before we have to move on.
Okay. I'll try to run quickly. Okay, so thirdly, we hope changes. and start to use new roads and new container types, because of the many of the connections have to increase our geographical presence, and secondly, start to use, for example, 20 DC, 40 used before. Okay, yes, that's pretty much all from my side.
Okay. I'll come back there. Thank you so much. I'm sorry again for any technical difficulties. Again, if anyone has any questions for Richard, post them in the chat. We'll get to them later. I'm going to move swiftly along, but not before. Thank you once again, Richard, for joining us and for your insights.
Thank you. Yes, of course.